Okay, action, take one. How y'all doing today?
Good. Yay!
Wow, that was good. You only had to do that one time? That's exciting. All right, gang. Today we're going to talk about converting inquiries into appointments. And as I mentioned earlier, inquiries. What is an inquiry? Well, let's say you're at an open house and a buyer walks in. That's an inquiry. And it's important for you as a real estate agent to be able to take that inquiry and turn that inquiry into a buyer, and or that inquiry may also be a seller. So I'm going to teach that as well today in terms of how do you separate lookers from buyers and how to convert those buyers into listing what? Appointments. Right. Very important. Okay? Let's say you take what I like to call opportunity time, where you answer the phone for your office and you sit there for 3 or 4 hours and you're waiting for the phone to ring. And the phone rings. And what do you think it costs for an average office to get the phone to ring one time?
$425.
$425. That is absolutely correct. Sold to the man in the back. He's only been in real estate for 2 weeks and he knows that already. Good job, Sean.
Thanks.
And so, but you know what? It costs you money too, because time is money, isn't it, gang? Isn't your time worth money? I mean, that's time that you're sitting there at the desk waiting for the phone to ring, and when that call comes in, if you can't convert that call into money, then you may have wasted your time if you weren't doing any other business generating activities while you were doing that. What about an open house? How many of you here, by a show of hands, have done an open house before? Raise your hand. How many of you ever had an open house where no one showed up? Raise your hand. I'm going to raise 2 hands. Right? Did you feel like you wasted your time? Yeah. No? Okay, good.
Brought a meeting with her.
Yeah, that's good. You brought some work with you. Here's what's worse than no one showing up. People that show up and you do not get an appointment from anyone that showed up. That's worse. But today I'm going to share with you a dialogue, and I'm going to share with you some techniques that will help you maximize your use of time, that will help you generate income from these leads, these inquiries that you're getting that are happening all around you. So there's phone time, there are open houses, there are web inquiries. People are emailing you as agents and saying, I'd like some information about this property. Guess what? They already have the what, gang? The address. How many of you have been in real estate for 10 years or more? Raise your hand. Remember, gang, when the training used to be, when they call, don't give out the address? You ever heard that before? Right? You're the keeper of the information. When they call and try not to give out the address, because if you give out the address, they'll drive by the property and they'll never call you back. And you just essentially wasted your time. So what you want to do is you want to try to get an appointment, right? Remember that? Well, now they're calling and they already have the address. These inquiries. So now what do you do? Whoa. What do they need you for now, right? I promise you I'll share with you a dialogue today that will help you get through that. Okay? Help you turn those inquiries into sales. But there are some awarenesses some that I'd like to make you aware about these people who are inquiring. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little visual here. In the mind of the person that's, let's say this is a face, okay? And this is the person inquiring, all right? And in their mind, there are 9 things in their mind, some awarenesses, and I put them on your handout right there. And I'm going to tell you what these awarenesses are. When I read the awareness to you, I'd like for all of you to say, John, what's the point? You ready? Let's practice this. Ready? Go.
John, what's the point?
Awesome. Good job. They do not buy the house they inquire about.
John,
what's the point?
The point is, I forgot. No, I'm just kidding. Stop trying to sell it to them. Stop trying to sell it to them. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, sometimes when an inquiry comes in over the phone, I hear agents, because I walk by their offices, your office front desk, and I hear people on the phone. I hear people on the phone in this office. And I hear agents trying to sell the house to the prospect on the phone. Stop that. Okay? And I'll tell you why in a minute. Number 2, they do not call you back, and you say,
John, what's the point?
the point is, don't give out the address, or if they have the address, don't show them the house.
Don't show them the house?
Don't show them the house. You see, gang, if you came here today and you heard all the things that you expected you would hear, then you kind of wasted
What's
your
the
time
point?
coming here. Right, what's the point? John, what's the point of coming here? If I came here, so I am going to tell you things that you've never heard before. I am going to tell you things that may shock you in a sense. I am going to tell you and share with you things that will help you expand and grow your mind and your mentality and the way you feel and think about real estate. That's different, because if you're thinking like the average agent right now, you're not selling more than 7 homes a year. Because the average agent in real estate right now is selling 7 homes a year. And I know that a lot of you, the reason why you came into this room is you want to do what? You want to do more. You want to be above average. So I'm going to share with you techniques that above average, not above average, but top producers use. Okay? Top producers use. Don't listen to what other people are saying in your office. Don't listen to what your neighbor is saying to the next desk over. Don't listen to someone just because they have more years of experience in the business than you do. Doesn't always necessarily mean that they're practicing and doing all the right things. Okay, gang? There's an open seat right here. So, next thought in the prospect's mind is this. They don't know what they want to buy, and you say,
John, what's the point?
you guys are dying out on me. You might need some more coffee. Don't ask them.
Don't ask them what they want?
Yep. They don't know what they want to buy. Don't ask them. Don't ask them what they want to buy. And I'll tell you why. Would you like me to tell you why?
Sure.
Yeah, John.
They never buy what they tell you. Ever.
That's true.
Yeah, ever. Never. They tell you when you ask them, well, what are you interested in? You're on the phone with them. Well, I'm interested in 8-room, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath colonial, north of north of the Mass Pike, and I want a large yard. What do they end up buying? A 2-bedroom, $150,000 condo with no yard south of the Mass Pike. That's what they end up buying. And so stop asking them. Number 4, they have other ads circled.
John.
John, what's the point?
4B is they have other properties that they've seen on the internet. Okay? So John, what's the point? Ask them which ones. When you're on the phone with them, or when you meet them at an open house, you should be asking these people, what other properties are you interested in? What other properties have you inquired about? Because here's what happens in our industry, and it's horrible. People inquire over the internet. That is their number one means and mode of shopping for a home. I think over 80% of the people start their search for a house on the internet. They don't call or walk into a real estate office anymore. And what they do is they come across a listing and they email an agent or an office about that listing. And statistically, there's a 70% chance that that real estate agent in this country will not get back to them within 48 hours. When someone's on the internet, how soon do they want to hear?
Immediately.
Immediately. Well, how soon's immediately, John? Immediately.
Within an hour.
Within an hour, I would say. Absolutely, within an hour. You know, the agent who carries what they call a smartphone now that gets their email on their phone and has a little ring on it every time there's an email, that agent is the top producer. That agent is the one that will prosper. That agent is the one that will get the lead. And you know what's sad? It'll probably be the lead on a listing that an average agent took. They contacted the listing agent first. That agent didn't respond. And then they contacted another agent about that listing, and that agent was from a different company. And all of a sudden, you're co-broking with someone, and by the way, that could have been your buyer. but you didn't have the access to the internet or the email right away. Or you got the email, this cracks me up. I'm a real estate agent, but I don't check my email that often. Laugh. That's amazing. You know? That's kind of like having a retail store and saying, I don't open my doors all the time. I keep my office locked most of the time. My store. You know? I have banker's hours, right? I don't check my email. Scary. Not today, gang. Not today. Not everyone has put that as a priority yet. It's right in line with your phone and your messages. I mean, you have to check your email on a regular basis. Because consumers now prefer, whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. And don't hate me for saying this now. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. The consumers, and especially the generation of consumers that are buying homes now, the new first-time home buyers, they all want to work on the internet. They want to text you on your phone. They would rather do that than to call you on the phone and talk to you personally. And they would never walk into a real estate office. That would be a huge waste of their time. So they're going to first go over the internet. So you ask them which ones. This is powerful. Someone sends you a web inquiry, right? And they want to know, about a property. They want to see a property. And here's a golden opportunity for you to write back and say, what other properties have you inquired about that no one has gotten back to you yet on? I can get you information on all the properties. They start going on your competitors' websites, looking up their listings and calling you about them because you're the first and only one that's actually responding to them and communicating with them in a way in which they want to communicate. You might like to do things over the phone or in person. They don't. And guess what? This is the new buyer pool that is out there now. Okay? I've spent hours and hours of going through seminars learning about the generational differences and what the new consumer is doing and how they're doing it. And gang, I have to tell you, if you don't adapt and adopt these new technologies, and they're very simple. I mean, if you can search an MLS, you can do email. I mean, it's really simple. It's just doing it. That's all. So I want to really make a big point about that. Number 5, you can't sell them a house over the phone, and you say,
That's a point.
don't try. Get face to
Hey.
face. You got it. See, that was my point earlier. Some of you try to sell them the property over the phone. Stop trying to sell the house over the phone. Stop trying to sell the house at the open house. The odds of them buying a house at an open house are less than a 1% chance. But too many agents are going around trying to sell the house at the open house. Talking about all the features. You should be talking about them, not the house. Listen, if they like the house, they'll tell you. There's no way you're going to be able to pack up those signs and leave that house without them twisting you around to make an offer if they love that property. Believe me, there's nothing you can do to screw up that sale if they walk into that open house and they want to buy that open house. Trust me on that. Stop trying to sell them the house. Trying to sell them the house also creates this barrier between you and them and creates this salesman barrier between you and them, and they think all you want to do is get a commission. But the way for you to actually get a commission is to focus on helping them, not trying to sell the house. You follow me? They'll like you more, they'll trust you more, and this is the best part, you will be in more control. And isn't that what you really want? Right? Absolutely. Number 6, knowing the inventory before answering questions. Good. Caravan. Learn to use switch properties. Preview the listings in your market area. You see, this is another thing that just, oh my goodness, it's like, even just thinking about it, you can tell it kind of takes my breath away. I hear this. What's wrong with this picture? Ring, ring. Good morning. Carlson GMAC Real Estate. Carlson GMAC Home Services. How may I help you? Oh, that property? Yeah, that's yeah, I'm sorry. That property is not available. It's under agreement already. Yep.
Bye.
Okay. Yep. Bye. Right. Roberta, you must have heard that person too, right? And they hang up. What's wrong with that picture?
Missed
You
it.
lost your customer.
You lost what?
You're
Yeah.
looking for a house and You let
Yeah.
them go.
See, the problem was that agent that I just imitated right there was trying to sell that house
Yeah.
rather than trying to help the buyer. You see, it's a whole different mindset. If they want that house, guess what are the odds are that they're going to call in on a house and buy that house? You know what the odds are?
Slim and none.
Slim to none. I like that. That's a good statistic. Yes, Arthur.
So if you try to bring up other properties, if they're not interested, you could probably think they're a neighbor just being nosy or not really interested.
But can you say?
Yeah.
can
I'm
you
going to
say-
teach you a dialogue that
Yeah.
will help you decipher whether or not you should work with them. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Very good question. Yes,
I was
Louise.
gonna say, can you say, why don't you come in and meet with me and we'll show you what we do have?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, if
That's a yes or no.
yeah. Yeah, but that's good. But that's a good. I like that. That's good.
Can
It's better than doing this, gang, isn't it? Isn't it better than saying, okay, yeah, sorry, it's under agreement. Yeah, all right, okay, bye-bye. Right? Now, an average agent does that. A great agent does what Louise, right? Does what Louise does. A pro will do what I'm going to share with you today.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So you're on track. You're on track. You're good. Number 7, have the right attitude. The right attitude is, I can't work with them all. And you say,
The
the point is, here's what I want you to put into your mind, your attitude, your mindset, is that, the right attitude is that you can't work with them all. Also, I want you to have this mindset in your head is, they have my money in their pocket and I want it. Okay? Number 8, every lead is a future commission. Stay in touch with people. Stay in touch with people. Every lead is a future what? Keep in touch, gang. Stay in touch with these people. So how do you do that? Well, you take their names and numbers, and then you get back to your office once a week, and you take all your names and numbers, and you put them in your database, and you get their email addresses, and you maybe send them an email one week, then a phone call the next week, and a postcard the next week, and then an email the next week, and then a phone call the next week, and then a postcard the next week. You follow me? Every 6 weeks they're getting a phone call. They're getting every 3 weeks they're getting a phone call. Every 3 weeks they're getting an email. Every 3 weeks they're getting a postcard. And they don't feel like you're harassing them in any way, but who's there when they need a realtor? You are. What happens when you don't keep in touch? Guess who gets the sale? A person that just happened to bump into them at the time when they were ready. Right? Number 9, you must follow a step-by-step process.
John.
Get the caller to want to Seto. Now, some of you may know what that is, and I'm going to ask you to keep it to yourself right now because I want to teach it, okay? But Seto. Now, hold on. Hold that thought. I have some additional notes that I put together, some things that I wanted to go through with you today. Now, this segment that we're teaching today is very powerful. It's extremely powerful, but here's the problem. This segment is not always as well received as it should or could be because agents like to fight it. Because it's kind of, what we're teaching today is going against the grain a little bit, It's testing your blind faith, if you will, a little bit. The agents that are the most successful in real estate, they learn a system. Somebody told them that this works. They believed it, they did it, and they succeeded, and they didn't ask questions. These are the people that are successful. The people that are successful never do this. Yeah, but what about this? And what about that? And constantly asking questions. While that person's asking questions, the top producer's out there doing it and making it happen and making it work. So have some blind faith. It reminds me of a guy who fell off a cliff, and it was a 10,000-foot drop, and he was holding on to one thin vine, right? And here's a guy, he never said a prayer in his life, okay? But all of a sudden, he looked up to the clouds and he said, "Is anybody up there?" And to his shock and amazement, a voice came from the clouds and it said, "Do you believe?" And what would you say? He says, "Yeah, I believe." And then the voice said, "Let go of the vine." Is there anybody else up there? Right? Right? Oh, John showed me how to prospect FSBOs. Is there anything else we can do other than prospect for sale by owners or expireds? Or is there anything else we can say other than this, John? Because some of the things that I teach you that top producers use take a little guts. And that in lies the problem. I want to be a salesperson, but I don't want to use my guts. Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. Okay, so in this segment, I want to talk about separating lookers from buyers. Okay, we're going to talk about that. The number one waste of time for real estate agents, this isn't in your notes, just follow me for now. I'll get to your notes in a few minutes. I want you to focus on some of the things that I want to say to you today. The number one waste of time in real estate is working with people that are not ready, working with people that are not willing, and working with people that are not able, or a combination of two and or three or one of the above. You follow me? That's the number one biggest drain of the money that's going out of your purse or your wallet, is the fact that we're wasting time with people that aren't ready, willing, and able. Now, agents are reluctant to talk about this or even focus on this topic because agents say, John, I want the money when?
Now.
I want the money now, right? So what they do is they start working with these prospects now before they go through a track that will help them to not waste their time and lose money. Now, the first tool you can use to separate lookers from buyers is Seto. Seto. Now, those who Seto have more money, real estate agents. Those who Seto have more time with their family. Those who Seto have make more money in less time in our real estate industry. Those who Seto have control, gang. They have control. I had some people say to me, John, I put Seto on my phone in my office because Seto makes all the difference in the world to me. Okay? So number one is Seto. Okay? Number two, step two.
What's Seto?
Oh, how many people don't know what Seto is? Raise your hand. Oh, I got here just in time, didn't I? All right, good. Seto. Seto stands for come into the office.
Yeah.
Come into the office. Here's what I mean by this, I try to teach my children this fact. I say, listen, whenever you want to know what to do, analyze your alternatives and go with the odds. Does that make sense, gang? Right? Analyze the alternatives and go with the odds. When you get an inquiry, you have three choices, gang. Okay, this isn't in your notes. This is just me talking to you right now. You have three choices. The number one choice is you can give out the address if they're calling and they want to know what the address is. Or this also fits under number one is you can go. They call you up. They know the address already, and they say I want to see the house, and you go over and you show the house. That's your first alternative. Okay. Number two is you can find out what they're looking for, and you can help look for it for them. Okay? You find out what they're looking for, and you look for it for them. There are a lot of low-producing real estate agents right now that are doing that all the time for their buyers. They call the buyer, and they're talking to the buyer, and the buyer says, listen, I'd like to, this is what I'm looking for, 8-room, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, north of, south of, east of, right? Third of an acre. And who's spending all their time looking for that property? The below average agent, okay, is looking for that property. That's your second choice. Part of the second choice is this, and this one really fries me more than anything else. I hear this on the phone sometimes. Ready? This is an untrained agent on the phone at the front desk. Ring, ring. Good afternoon, Carlson GMAC Home Services, how may I help you? Oh, well, I'm calling to inquire about this property that I saw, and, well, that one's under agreement. However, why don't you tell me what you're looking for? Oh, okay, 8 room, 4 bedroom. How many baths? Is a garage important? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I can do, because I'm so special. I'm going to take all your criteria and I'm going to enter it into our computer database system. Why don't you give me your email address? I'll add you to the list of 7,000 people that get an email from me, and add to the other 7,000 emails that you're getting from other real estate agents, some of which are the same properties, and you follow me, gang? And I'm going to send you, I'm going to put you on my email list. Now, who's new in real estate? Raise your hand. Here's what they do. You ready? What happens is you send them the emails, and then they look at the property, they drive by the property, they call you back, they give you a report on everything that they like about the property, and then they call you up to set up an appointment to write up an offer, don't they? No, they don't. Ever. Ever. It's a cop-out. It's a waste of time. I've said to agents, you need to go out and get some listings. I'm busy. What are you busy doing? I've got like 60 leads. I said, how many leads do you have? I've got 60 leads. 60. Listen, nobody has 60 leads, gang. It's impossible to have 60 leads. Oh no, they're all in my MLS property finder, and they get emails from me, and I get copies back of what they're looking at and what they're seeing, and I know what they're doing, and I'm keeping in touch with all these people. You're not keeping in touch with them. You wouldn't know their phone number if you tried to find it. Here's what I recommend when people have that. You have all their email addresses, email them and say, listen, I'm done. This is the last email you're going to get from me unless we can set up an appointment to get together. I'll give you better words than that in a minute. But that's the gist of it, gang. That's what you want to convey to these people, that, you know what, and you're thinking to yourself, well, it doesn't cost me any money. Yeah, it costs you a lot of money and lost opportunity. That's what it's costing you money in. Oh, it's a way for me to keep in touch. No, it isn't. You're just an email address. You're just one of several hundred emails that they get, and sometimes are a nuisance. They've stopped looking for a home. In fact, they've already bought a house with another agent, and they're still getting your emails. And they've not said discontinue because they don't know how to. They don't want to take the time to reply back to you to say stop sending me these emails. So they just delete them when they come in. How many of you do that with your email now? Just delete, delete, delete. I keep my finger on the delete and the down arrow key when I check my email. And I just down arrow, delete, down arrow, delete. And the ones I want to keep, those are the ones that I open and read. Right? So, again, stop fooling yourselves, gang. Again, some of the things you're hearing from me today may be a little painful. Well, that's okay. Hopefully that'll help you grow, right? So, they never buy what they're looking for, going back to number 2. And they also, they never call you when they get your email about these properties that you're sending them. They never drive by, and they never buy from you. They buy from the pro that does things a little different than the average person. The pro does the third option. The third option is, guess what?
Come into the office.
What does the pro do, gang? Let's hear it. Seto.
Yeah.
Right. Seto will change your life. It will put you in control, help you make more money in less time, so you can spend more time doing the things that you want to do and doing the things that you'd like to do, which is also working in real estate. Now, some agents say this. Now, here's what I want to say. The third option is to Seto them, obviously, right? Get them to come into the office. Now, here's a rule of thumb, gang. You ready? Rule of thumb. Only work with the ones that will come into the office, and don't work with the ones that won't come into the office. I can hear it now. People say this to me. But John, won't I lose them that way? And I say, yes, you will. In fact, you lose them. You'll lose as many as you're losing now.
Is there a
Right?
difference between that and someone inviting you to their house to meet with them? Is there a difference?
I think you know, the point is to get the face-to-face.
Okay.
Ideally, you want to get them to come into the office, especially if they're a buyer. I'm going to actually touch on that too. I think the reason why you'd want to go to their house is if they have a house to sell. Just to not keep you in suspense. I'm going to cover that though, in detail. Okay? So, some people say to me, but John, I'm going to lose them that way. I'm afraid. See, you're all motivated by fear. Your fear is that if you only work with the ones that come into the office, and you don't send them an email or call them or try to sell them a house, or you run out the door and you go out and you show them that property that they called in on, right? You're afraid you're going to lose them. Well, here's what I'm here to tell you, gang. You're going to lose just as many as you're losing now. Only this way, you'll lose them quicker. All right? Is that good?
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes, Carol.
Earlier you said this younger generation of buyers don't want to come into the office.
True.
They want to text you. So is
Yeah.
this working with younger people?
Yes, it is, but here's the key. You have to first start off the conversation being able to text and email. You may have to communicate back and forth for a while before they gain your trust to see the benefits of coming in. You see, I don't care whether they're young, medium, or older. It doesn't matter. Because if I give that person enough benefits to do something that they're going to benefit from, I can get them to do it. People will do what they feel like doing, and what you have to do is you have to change their feelings about doing it. Right now, they feel like it's a waste of time to come into your office. But after they know some compelling facts that you're going to share with them, they will change the way they feel about coming into the office, and therefore they'll be motivated to do it. Okay? But too many times, Carol, it's a great, awesome question. Thank you so much for asking that. Because this is something that other people are thinking as well, right?
Right.
And so the key is that you need to, you know, in order to get them in the boat, you have to hook them first. And the way you can hook them is you can just put a hook in the water, or you can put some bait on that hook. But if you put some juju beans on there instead of worms, you might not get them. You have to use the right bait for the right fish, right? Using that analogy, you have to use the right bait for the right fish. And for the newer buyers that are coming into the marketplace, in the generation of buyers that are coming up and buying homes now, gang, it's not tomorrow or next year, now. Do you know that the population of people in the X and Y generation far exceed the population of what they call the baby boomers? It's amazing, okay? So it's a real driving force. Now, how do you get them to come into the office, right, Carol?
Yeah,
How do you
that's the problem.
how do you get these people to come into the office? Well, there are two dialogues, all right? And I'm going to go to your notes. And you have what is here called the inquiry tract. Okay, now, here's what I'm going to do. And here's what I recommend you do. I highly recommend that you do this. If you were mine, and my income depended on your income, you would have this on your desk everywhere you go. You'd have it in your car. You would have it at an open house. You would have this at the front desk. And I'm doing this on purpose because I want you to see how this should be displayed. And agents who have, not yet at all, holy cow, you could be costing yourself a small fortune. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just that you might be doing it in reverse. Okay? But why don't we get back to that later? For now, let me give you the information about the property. What have I done there?
You planted a little seed.
I planted a little seed. Yep. Yep, just what Judy said. I planted a little seed there, and then I'm moving on. I'm not selling them now. I made a little note underneath the bottom here, and I put it in parentheses. Close for the appointment before hanging up. When?
Not now.
Not now. Right. You got it. And here's this part takes a little skill. But the good news is it doesn't take a lot of skill, right? The next part is what you're going to do is you're going to trade information, and you're going to eventually find out something about the house that is not suitable for them. You're going to trade information, and eventually you're going to find out something about the house that is not suitable for them. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to get them to not want that property. And by the way, it's going to be so easy to do based on the statistics, right? There's a 96% chance that they're not going to buy that house, so that home is never going to be the one that they're ever going to buy. It's probably a higher percentage than that. Wouldn't you agree? Right? What can I tell you about the property? So, ask me a question about the property, any of you.
Oh, how many bedrooms does it have, John?
Well, this property actually has 4 bedrooms. Are 4 bedrooms, is that the amount of,
That would be
bedrooms
great,
that
but I
you
need
need?
a master bath.
You need a
Does it
master,
have a
well,
master
it
bath?
does have a master bath, yes. What else can I tell you about the property?
How
Does
big
it have
is the-
central air?
Oh.
Does it have
Oh,
central air?
yeah.
This property does not have central air, but I'm
Oh,
sure you
forget
could.
it.
Forget, okay, yeah. Would you consider adding central air to a property if you found the perfect home?
Very costly.
Very costly, yeah. What if we could get the seller to put it in for free?
Okay.
I'm not saying we could, but I'm just curious how important is central air to you for the property to have it? Because in New England, there's probably a 50-50 shot, depending on what price range we're in, whether or not we'll have central air. But this property does not have central air. Should we exclude this property or no?
For now.
Let's say for fun, let's keep going. All right? Just for fun. But as you can see, Audrey was saying, you know what? This house isn't for me. And then I'm trying to give her some alternatives. But what was I doing, gang? I was trying to sell that house, wasn't I? Bah, wrong thing to do. At that point, Arthur, ask me if it has a basement.
Does it have a basement?
This property does not have a basement. It's actually on a slab foundation. How do you feel about that?
I need a basement.
Arthur says, no way. I need a basement. I have a workshop. I have things that I need storage. I need a basement. Well, aren't you glad I didn't give you the address? Right? You didn't waste your time going running over to the property and seeing the property and so on and so forth. So what have I effectively done? By trading information back and forth, I've eventually eliminated this property from the list of properties that they want to see. Are you guys with me on this, gang? Are you still with me? Okay, good. Well, it doesn't seem like this is the house for you. Would you agree, Arthur?
Yeah.
Arthur says, yeah, it's not the house for me. Well, now, I've given you 2 dialogues, and the reason why I posted them up here like this, you have them in your handout one after the other, okay? And I have them up here posted because it's easier for you to refer to them when you're actually on the phone or when you're handling inquiries, okay? So, now, let's say I'm still on the phone with Arthur, and he's telling me that, you know, I don't want to, I need a house with a basement. And I say, well, if he's renting, remember when he told me, I asked in the beginning, do you own a home or are you renting? Question number 6, remember that, gang? And he said, well, I'm currently renting right now. When he said I'm currently renting right now, I skipped over this boxed area of dialogue, and then I said, what can I tell you about the house? Right? I didn't say, geez, can I have our loan originator call you to get you financially pre-approved? Will you give all of your personal information and your wife's social security number and your social security number to a complete stranger over the phone, and you haven't even met me or her yet, and so, right? And then they say, well, that wasn't a good lead. Well, you didn't follow the process. Guess what? Someone else is going to get that lead, follow this process, and turn that buyer into a commission. You follow me? So, Arthur, before you hang up, something you said earlier concerns me. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Sounds to me like you're looking for something somewhat special. Am I hearing you right?
That's correct.
And you said you've been looking for a home for about 3 months. Is that right?
Right.
And you said that one of the things you like to do is check the internet and search for properties. Is that correct?
All the time.
All right. Would it surprise you to know that if you're looking for something special, you may never find it? Can I explain what I mean? I don't know if you're... See, I don't wait for him to respond when I get to this section. I don't wait for the yeses. I'm just going like a steamroller right over. I'm just giving him the information. So listen to the voice inflection in the way that I deliver the words. Okay, gang? Would it surprise you to know that what if that if you're looking for something special, you may never find it. Can I explain what I mean? I don't know if you are aware of it, but picture an iceberg. Now picture the tip of an iceberg. That is what you're dealing with. The perfect property may not be on the internet when you're looking on the internet. Or, if they're inquiring about an ad, you could use the words, only a small percentage of all the homes are available are in the newspaper at any given time. You can't say that about the internet because almost all the homes are on the internet right after they go into the multiple listing service. Not right away, but depending on what site they're on, it may take a couple of days, maybe a week, right? Okay? They might not have all the pictures where they're looking and so on and so forth. And then I say to Arthur, did you know that? And 99% of the time, Arthur's going to say what? No.
I didn't know that.
But that's not the worst part. Can I tell you the worst part? The special one, see, I didn't wait for him to say no, right? Can I tell you the worst part? The special ones we do not always advertise. Do you know who buys those, Arthur? Now I pause. Our direct clients. Now let me ask you this, Arthur. Are you serious about finding the right home at the right price? Now, if it's that woman calling on behalf of her son, she may say, well, no, I'm just looking, right? But who's going to waste all their time showing that woman homes for her son that's coming into town 3 weeks from now, who may never come, right? You see how this can help you gain control, gang? By putting, see, this is the only thing that I can teach you in real estate that is foolproof. This is the only thing that works every single stinking time. Now, I've taught you many things over the past weeks. And I've also told you that these things work most of the time. This is the only one thing that is infallible. This is the only one thing that I can share with you that works every single time. Because either they work with you or they don't, and guess what, gang? Whether they do or they don't, you win. You follow me? See, the key is you just need to separate the lookers from the buyers, and this is a great way to do it. Okay? So don't take it as rejection when somebody chooses not to work with you. You're using this dialogue and they blow you off, or they hang up on you, or they do something that's out of the norm. You know what, gang? Either they're mean people, and you don't want to work with mean people anyway because they don't even give you referrals, and no matter what you do, bend over backwards, work overtime, they're going to hate you no matter what, and fill out a bad survey, right? Because it's just the way they are.
Yep.
Or you have a choice to work with nice people, all right? You know, there are thousands of buyers out there right now, gang, and you've heard me say this before, they're silently begging to be led. There are thousands of real estate agents out there in the marketplace right now. There are over 1,000 just in this marketplace alone that are silently begging to be led. But they're not here in this room right now, right? Unfortunately, you know. They want the direction. They want to be led. They want to know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, what to say, how to say it. Well, look how many people are here generally every week. Every week we get about 15 people out of 150, right? So when I tell you have no competition, gang, you have no competition. Your competitors, the people that are working at other companies, they're not coming here on Friday to learn this information and study and practice and drill and rehearse it. You are. It gives you a competitive edge. So keep doing what you're doing. School is never out for the pro, gang. School is never out for the pro. So buyers, they're silently begging to be led. You know, here's the bottom line. You know why these buyers haven't bought yet? They haven't met you yet. And the reason, and they may have met you yesterday or the day before, but you didn't have this then, right? Now that you have it, and now that buyer has you, now you can lead them in the direction that they want to go in to help them own a piece of America, to buy a home, right? Are you serious about finding the right home at the right price? And he says,
Yes.
yeah, I'm serious about finding the right home at the right price. Then here, let's do this. I don't mind. And I love that part. I don't mind. Everyone say that with me. Here, let's do this. I don't mind, right? Let's find a time that you and your spouse can come into the office. Ready? Seto, right, gang? Come into the office. Let's have a cup of, maybe I can ask you a bunch of, that will help us pick out 2 or 3 properties to actually look at, right? Maybe while we're over there, you can point out what you like and what you don't like. That way, when I have a clear picture of your special home in my mind's eye, when it comes out on the market, you'll be the second one to know about it. Ooh. right? How's Arthur feeling now? And then I close. See, here's what I did. I identified first for Arthur that he had a problem. Okay? And then I offered the solution. And now the third step is I need to close, right? So then I say, Arthur, are you available mornings or afternoons? Afternoons. Okay, great. I'm available Friday at 1 or let's say, I don't know, 3:15 or 3:30 be better. 3:30, great, okay. And I say I take his name, I take his cell phone number down just in case, right? And I have him what? What is it, gang?
Come into the office.
Come into the office, and that's how I got him to come in. And
Right.
guess what? When he comes in, gang, listen, this is only the first part. This is only the first part. The only thing I taught you today was how to get him to come into the office. That's extremely important because without that, you can't go to part 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? In the next session, I'm going to teach you, go to this page right here if you would for a minute, how to increase sales. And what I'm going to focus on, and you're the only people that are going to know this because you're here today, is that the first step is getting them to come into the office. Then you need to know, there are 3 parts of how to increase sales. I'm going to cover all 3 sessions in one session next week. It's going to be jam-packed with a lot of information. I'm going to share with you a lot of stuff in a very short period of time. So be ready to take notes, drink your coffee, have a good breakfast, come in right at 10 o'clock, and when you get started, we're going to hit the ground running on this session. How to increase sales. Because now that you've got them into the office, how do you get them to go from coming into the office to actually turning that into a commission, helping them buy a home? And what's going to happen is, let's say when you come into the office, I'm going to say to Arthur, may I tell you how I work? Oh, by the way, I need to explain agency to you. And I explain agency and buyer agency and dual agency and designated agency and how our company works with agency. Because it's Massachusetts state law that when I first come in contact with a buyer or a seller, that I need to review this form with you. And I do that first, right? And then while I'm doing that, I also have a phenomenal opportunity to explain the benefits of buyer agency and why they would want to work with a buyer agent.
One guy wouldn't let me show them form. He said, I don't want to do anything, I don't sign anything, I don't want to listen to anything.
Yeah, that's
so
okay.
that's the kind that you're saying you shouldn't be bothered with anyway.
Well, they're telling you something.
Right.
That's, a looker from a buyer,
Right.
right? Right? And it's great that you know now rather than later.
That's what
And
you're
show,
Absolutely.
and show them 30 properties and they buy from someone else.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, like Ken said.
That never happened to me.
No, never happened. Never happened, right? Gang, I was extremely fortunate. I was very lucky to get a hold of this information very early on in my career. But what's really sad is that when agents are exposed to this information, but they keep doing it the old-fashioned way over and over and over again because they're afraid to say no. I think during the time management class that we gave, I gave you something like 20 or 30 different ways to say no. You remember that? And so, saying no, you don't have to say no if you say this. If I say, Ken, this is how I work. First, I have to explain to you what agency is all about. And I sit there, they've come into the office, and I'm explaining agency to them. And then I say, and then the next step is, I'm going to share this with you in the next few weeks, gang, but I'm going to say to them, the next step is we need to get you financially qualified to prepare you with an approval letter so that if we go out and we see one of these properties and you actually want to buy one, we have the pre-approval letter ready to go. In addition to that, we'll also find out if there are any credit mistakes. There are millions of Americans that have mistakes on their credit report that exist right now, and they don't even know that those mistakes are on their credit report. And by getting you pre-approved, we can find out if their mistakes are there. And if they are, you can correct them now, than right before you're trying to buy a house and you don't have time to correct them and you lose the home of your dreams because you've got some mistake on your credit. Do you see how that could be a value for you? And by the way, this is at no cost to you. It's just part of the full suite of services that we offer here at Carlson GMAC. Aren't you glad you met me? Yeah. Right? And I smile and I laugh. And they'll look at each other, they'll smile and they'll laugh and say, yeah, that's good. Right? Because all I'm doing is I just want to help you. I think I remember a real famous person said this, and I'm so famous I forgot the person's name. I don't know who I can give credit to this for, but they said, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. It might have been Dale Carnegie, or Dale Carnegie may have quoted someone who said that. Possibly.
That's true.
I think it was Dale
Mary
Carnegie.
Roncalli,
How to
I
make
think,
friends
said that,
with
or
other people.
was it Sophie Zielinski, I think, said that, I'm not sure. But it's, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want, okay? And all I had a passion for was just helping these people out. And the agents in my office used to Some of them used to not like me. You know, when you meet, see, happy people like to be around other happy people, right? But mean people hate happy people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, gang. But if that happens, that's normal. Okay. I love what I wrote here on the bottom. I'm taking credit for this part right here. On the bottom of the page. Are you available when?
Mornings or afternoons.
Want to spend more time with your family, gang? Learn that line. Burn that dialogue right into your head.
Yeah.
You want to spend more time at home when other people are home? You want to have dinner at a reasonable hour instead of 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night leaning over the sink? Learn that dialogue. Now, is it going to work every time? No, it's not going to work every time. But I would say, if I had to guess, I don't know the number exactly, but if I had to guess, I'd say 60 to 70% of the people would answer that with a morning or an afternoon when I would ask that question. Wow. You know what? Here's what the average agent says. Well, you probably work during the day, so I'll probably have to meet you in the evening. Would 6 o'clock or would 8:30 be better for you? And who's working nights all the time? Right, gang? And you wonder why. Right? So when I talk about taking control, right, Sean, when we first met, I promised you I'd teach you how to take control in real estate. Being new in real estate, you've got a fresh, clean slate. You're ready to rock and roll. And so how do I do it, John? Bring it on. How do I spend more time with my family and make all the money I want to make in real estate? Burn that into your brain. That's the first step. Ask the question, mornings or afternoons better for you? Do you know what blows my mind is that people will leave work to get their hair done. People will leave work to go to the dentist. People will leave work early or come and work late to get their eyes checked, right? People will leave work early or come in late if they have an appointment with their accountant or their attorney. Gang, I want you to feel something very important. Please burn this into your brain as well. Buying a home is the single most important investment that an American makes, typically. Buying a home is the single most important investment. And the reason why people want you to work nights and weekends is because you make yourself available to do so. And that's why real estate agents are constantly available nights and weekends. When I give career seminars, and I talk to people about a career in real estate, I say, what have you heard about real estate? I would almost always say, well, you have to work a lot of nights and weekends. And I say, well, not if you're trained by me. Right? Not necessarily. Now, are you going to have to work some nights and weekends? Did I work some nights and weekends? Absolutely, gang, I did. No doubt about that. But I had a lot more control over my time than I would have if I didn't learn this dialogue. And here's the other thing. I adopted in my mind that, listen, I'm not available Wednesday and Thursday evenings. I would pick up the kids at daycare, right? Friday night was date night. So that only left, so there was like half, and Saturday night, a Sunday night was family night, right? So there's 4 out of 7. Guys, I sold over 90 homes in 1 year with 4 out of 7 nights were completely booked off, okay? How did I do it? I just used these techniques, right, Ken?
It sets you up as a professional.
Absolutely. It does set you up as a professional. And see, the key is it has to come from you first. You have to ask for it and expect it first. That and there are times when I've said, well, we've worked with other realtors, they're available on the evenings, and you're not available evenings, and blah, blah, blah. You know, can you work on Sunday? And I say, listen, you know what? And I tell them exactly what I just told you. I gave them the same speech. People take time off of work, they leave early, or they come in late to get their teeth done, their hair done. You know, they spend more money on the outside of their head than they're spending what's in between their 2 ears, right? and they do that, and they leave work to do those types of things. But let me remind you, this is the single most biggest investment of your life. And when I'm selling a seller's home and I want them to come into my office so that I can present to them the offer that just came in on their home, and I ask them to come in at 4 o'clock, well, we work until 5, John. I said, well, what, you know, can you come in early tomorrow morning? I mean, when can you come into the office? Because I'm either available 4 o'clock this afternoon or 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Which time is better for you? Can't you just swing it by the house? I'm sorry, I'm not available this evening. And by the way, let me remind you, this is the biggest, single, most important sale of your life. And if this buyer has a night to think it over, they may think that they made a mistake and retract their offer. So do whatever you can, call your spouse, get out of work early, come down to my office, I need to see you now. What do you think they did, gang? They came. Why? Because I expected them to. Rule number 2, I asked them to, right? You have to do both, though. You can't just ask and not expect. You have to expect it and ask at the same time. Make sense, gang? Okay. Let's go to the next page. Guys, I'm glad I spent a lot of time on that last section, just those last 2 lines that we covered, because this is information that will really, truly help take control of your life, and it will help increase your longevity in this business. It will help to prevent you from being slapped around by your customers and clients, because some of you are getting slapped around. And if you get slapped around too much by these buyers and sellers, you may end up quitting the business, and that would be a shame. Follow me? Take control. Let's say that they said to you, do you own a home or you're renting? They said, I own a house. Well, congratulations, you sold it then. All right, at least it's on the market. Holy cow, it might be costing you a small fortune. Not that you're doing anything wrong, you just might be doing it in reverse, but we can talk about that later. And now later comes. Here's later, okay? And I was talking to Arthur, and I said, Arthur, something you said earlier concerns me. You said your house wasn't on the market yet. Why don't I stop by, take a look at your house, and while I'm there, I can provide you with some tips on how to get the most amount of money out of your house. I'm available mornings or afternoons. Which time better for you and your spouse to be there? Right? And Arthur says, well, actually, my wife is a professional home stager, and our home is perfect just the way it is. We've been planning on selling it for a year, and it looks great. Okay, well, why don't I be you? Be. Okay, follow me. Why don't I do this, Arthur? Why don't I provide you with an estimate of what you need, or what you'll net in your pocket after the sale? I can put together what we call a net sheet, and it'll tell you what you're going to net in your pocket after the sale of the property. I'm available Thursday afternoon, or would Friday morning work for you? And Arthur says, well, I'm actually an accountant, and I used to be an appraiser, and my aunt was in real estate for a long time. We already know what we're going to net in our pocket. Oh, okay. Well, then you see him, right? Then you see him, right? And you say, no problem, Audrey. I love it. Why don't I do this? Why don't I give you some tips on how to prepare your home for sale without over-investing in the property? That way you won't spend money on things you don't have to. Oh, John, I don't have any money, so don't have to worry about that one. Well, why don't I do this, Arthur? I don't mind. Right? There it is again. I don't mind. Why don't I do this? Why don't I compare your home to the other homes that have sold in your area so you'll have an accurate idea of what your home is actually worth? Okay, well, like I said before, John, you dodo bird, I'm a professional appraiser. Listen, again, you're only going to have to say one of these things to get an appointment, but I put a whole bunch of them in here just in case, just to make you feel better. And then I would him, and I would say, why don't I do this, Arthur? I don't mind. Why don't I bring with me a list of homes that have not been advertised in the newspaper or on the internet yet? That would be helpful to you, wouldn't it? I'm available. And what I would do is I'd pull out all the brand spanking new listings out of MLS that haven't even hit the internet sites yet and haven't hit the newspapers yet, and I'd bring that list with me to show him those properties when I come over to the property. And then you just keep closing and closing and closing. Gang, you have to close at least 3 times. There's magic in 3s. Close at least 3 times. Okay? If you're not closing 3 times, you're not making sales. It's normal to get a no the first and second time, if you even do. So when you get a no the first or second time, just know that you haven't connected with them yet. Something you said hasn't resonated with them yet. And in order to do that, you need to ask that question. So, did you guys learn some good stuff today or what? A lot of information in a short period of time, right?
Yeah, a lot of stuff I didn't want.
Okay. Now, here's what I want to do at this point right here again. Normally what we would do, if I had you for more time, I would have you, what do you think I'd have you do with this?
Role
Role
play.
play.
Role play, practice, drill and rehearse, practice, drill and rehearse. I'd put you in 2 circles, right, of 7 or 8 people, and I'd have you read it to each other going around the circle over and over and over again until you're ready to pass out. Right? To internalize this. Gang, just like many things that I've shared with you before, I can only make you aware of what it is that you need to know. It's your job to learn it and internalize it and to use it. You follow me? I don't have enough time with you to do that. I wish I did. I wish you'd give me more of your time, right? And in that way, you'll truly become a pro. Now, yes, Audrey, you had a question?
I have one of those, but John questions.
Yeah, but John, yes.
The reality is, when you're on phone duty and a call comes in like that, and you start talking to the customer, the phone's ringing off the hook,
Yes.
and nobody's there to answer it. What do? Let the phone ring and ring and ring and ring?
No.
Or do you ask for the number that you can get back to?
Well, you did. I mean, that's why you said just in case right away. That's why this dialogue works so well, because right in the first few seconds, oh yes, I'd be happy to get you that information. See, if you don't use this dialogue and you don't put them on hold, then you can't get their name and number.
So what would you just say, I have to get this other call, can I get back to you?
No, I mean, you could say, hold on for a minute while I get that information on that house. And then you put them on hold. They don't even know you're taking another call. They think you're getting
Oh,
information
okay.
on the house. When in reality, that house will take you 2 seconds to put up in front of you in the computer.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yep.
So that's the key. The key is to follow the dialogue. See, because if you got their name and number, let's say that you put them on hold and they do hang up on you. Well, call them back and say, sorry, I've disconnected them. And just be honest. I think people really respect the fact you're honest. I'm here alone. We have hundreds of listings, and I'm the only person here on the phone. But I am committed to helping you get what you want and the time you want. Let me help you save a couple of minutes by asking you a few questions. Let me help you save some time, and then just go on. You know, you said you wanted the address. Why do you want the address of the property? Oh, we just want to drive by and blah blah blah. And then you go through and continue on with your dialogue. Okay, gang? So, in lieu of us role playing today, I am going. First of all, I want to encourage you. By the way, I would be extremely impressed if I walked by your desk and I saw this up on your desk.
We're not gonna put it on there.
I would be very impressed. And I would be really impressed if you took this and you put it on a piece of cardboard, and every time you're on the desk, the front desk, you put this right in front of you on the front desk. And you have it in front of that. Don't worry, no one's going to make fun of you. You'll be the one laughing, right, gang? Right? See, I'm not expecting you to memorize this verbatim. So what I expect you to do is I want you to actually to have it in front of you, and it's okay to read it. See, some people are afraid to read. Well, if I read it, they're going to think that I'm reading it, and it's going to sound funny. Listen, here's the bottom line. This person just met you on the phone. They don't know what your voice sounds like when you're reading or not reading. They just think that that's your normal voice. You follow me?
Yeah.
Right? And it's okay. If you want to get more comfortable with it, read it over and over and over again. Read it over and over and over again, out loud, out loud. Read it over and over and over again. And maybe you should do that for 20 minutes prior to getting on phones as you prepare for the phones. Maybe while you're waiting for the phone to ring, read it out loud over and over and over again. Read it out loud over and over. Become so familiar with it that all you have to do is just look at it, the first sentence, the first few words, and you know the rest of the sentence. Or the next thing you know, you'll know the rest of the paragraph. Eventually, you'll have internalized this, 100%. Everybody with me, you ready? Happy
Birthday to you.
Come on, gang. Where are you guys sitting? Ready? Happy
Birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. You waiting for me to say
Happy birthday, dear John.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Now hold on a second. How do you know the words to that song?
Because we've heard it.
You've been saying it
So
for
many
years.
times, right? So how do you learn the words to any song, gang?
Memorize them.
Learn the song to financial freedom right here. Okay? And learn this song, okay? By practicing over and over and over again, internalize it. So, in lieu of role playing, I want to play something for you, and it is a little bit of an advertisement. In fact, it is an advertisement. But again, I wouldn't show you anything that I didn't think would help you, okay? And this is something actually, Andre owns this, right, Andre? This is the 101 Dialogues. And listen to the words. I want you all to buy this, by the way.
I listened to
Everyone's
it.
trying to sell
They
us.
emailed it to us.
Yeah, we can.
Years, I've challenged real estate professionals across the globe to break the bonds of mediocrity and to live extraordinary lives. I can honestly tell you, in all my years of real estate training, I've never been more excited and more passionate about a product or project than I am with what you're about to see. Hey, have you ever lost a listing because your words didn't work? Have you ever lost a commission because you didn't know what to say? Have you ever lost a buyer because your words didn't work? Chances are it wasn't the words, it was the delivery and the words. I saw a study recently that indicated that sales persuasion is 55% facial expression and body language, 38% voice inflection, and simply 7% the words themselves. You know what? If you know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and to say the right things at the right time to the right people, you will make more money and your career will be guaranteed. And that's exactly what this product, this program, this project is designed to do for you.
See if you can relate to this.
If you're like most real estate agents, your listings are sitting on the market and not selling. You're probably spending advertising dollars and not getting a return. Sure, you hold the house open and get some lookers, but no buyers. The offers you do get are low and your sellers are rejecting them. More than likely, your listing is overpriced. Floyd Wickman has a solution. Now more than ever, what you say, when you say it, and how you say it is critical to the success of your career and determines your outcome as a real estate agent.
Gotta be a better way. Have you ever lost a listing because you didn't know what to say? Have you ever lost a sale because you didn't know what to say? Have you ever lost an offer because you didn't know what to say? Are you living up to your full income potential? You're not alone. Did you know that 70% of all new agents fail in their first year in business? And for good reason. It's because they say the wrong things to the right people in the wrong way. There is another way. Floyd recently read a study that indicates 55% of all sales persuasion is body language, 38% is voice tone and inflection, and only 7% are the words. That's why the Duke of Dialogue, Floyd Wickman, has created this very powerful DVD learning resource entitled The 101 Greatest Dialogues of Floyd Wickman for Generating More Listings and Making More Sales. Floyd has been eating, drinking, and sleeping this real estate business for 38 years. His #1 attribute as a Hall of Fame speaker, author, teacher, mentor, and coach is his perfected dialogue. In making this 6-DVD set of Floyd's greatest dialogues, not only did he insist on the highest digital video quality available, he also designed a user-friendly interactive menuing feature. Here's how it works. Simply slip in the DVD, find your situation, click on the dialogue, and watch. You'll notice that the demonstrations are dramatically lit to exemplify the body language, eye contact, voice tone, and inflection, and no background distraction. Are you tired of just getting by as a real estate agent? Or are you ready to be the best you can be and learn how to say the right things to the right people in the right way? You can, with the 101 Greatest Dialogues of Floyd Wickman for Generating More Listings and Making More Sales. Order your set today. Floyd Wickman, the guide by your side.
Okay, hold on a second. I just want to.
Selling is fairly simple. There's only 8 steps. There's only 8 steps to be successful in real estate. Just 8. Step number 1, you got to prospect. You got to talk to prospects. But that's not enough. Talking to prospects doesn't do it for you. Step number 2, you got to close for an appointment. You got to end up with an appointment. Step number 3, you're over on that appointment, you got to take control. Because if you're not in control, you're just going to be a visitor giving information. Step number 4, you got to be able to qualify them. Step number 5, you got to be able to sell them, put on your presentation. Step number 6, you got to be able to effectively discuss price, get the right price. Step number 7, you got to close. And step number 8, you've got to service. You've got to service it. Listings are the name of the game. But worse than no listing is a listing that doesn't sell. You make a sale today, it doesn't mean it's going to close. You oftentimes have to service it, and that requires almost as much skill. I'll give you an example. Let's take listings. Let's say, for example, I'm prospecting. I find a FSBO. I close for an appointment. I go over there. I get control of the appointment. I qualify him. I find I can probably help him out. I sell him on using a realtor. I sell him on using me. We come up with a price that I'm willing to try. I close for the signature. That doesn't mean I'm going to make a commission. It's a month and a half down the road, no activity. What do I got to do? I got to get a price reduction. And I'll tell you what, there's an infallible dialogue. When you understand the secret of what I just said, the secret to the 8 steps, then you're ready to use the dialogue for getting a price reduction. And by the way, I'm going to say this about pricing. There's nothing wrong with any listing that the right price and terms won't cure. I had an agent walk up to me one time. When I tell you this, I want you to laugh. He said, "Hey, Floyd, I had this listing on the market for 4 months. Nobody's looking at it. What do you recommend I do?" I said, "Lower the price." Here's what he said. He said, "It's priced right." Some of you, no offense, but some of you out there, you're thinking, you got this listing, it's getting no activity, nothing. You honestly believe it's priced right. Let me tell you something. In basic marketing, if something is on the counter and nobody's picking it up and talking about it, it ain't priced right. So I said, "Well, what do you think the problem is?" He said, "I think it's the location." I said, "Okay, move the house." He said, "I can't do that." I said, "Right. All you can do is lower the price. Mr. Seller, if you want to sell, you got to lower the price." "Oh, we don't want to lower the price." "Oh, well, that's okay. Then you can't sell." "Oh, no, we want to sell." "Oh, we got to lower the price." "Well, we don't want to lower the price." "Well, you can't sell. Don't be mad at me. I already own a home." I'm not saying that's the dialogue, but it's the attitude you got to take. You know, we get to be chickens. We get a listing. You know how much money, you know how much money in this room alone is not going to be earned if you don't go out there and get price reductions?
You guys like that?
Yeah.
Floyd's a great speaker. If you ever get a chance to see him live, please do. I actually had an awesome opportunity to work with Floyd for about a year. I was a trainer for his company, and then I also became a director of his trainers for his company as well. And he's a great guy, and he's been a great mentor to me. And a lot of the information I'm sharing with you comes from Floyd, and a lot of the things that I learned from him. Guys, psychologically sound, history-proven techniques is very powerful. There's only one thing, and one thing only, that's standing in the way between you and your next commission. That is knowing what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. And the reason why I shared this video with you today is because I know for a fact, if you were mine, if you were related to me, and you said to me, "John, what do I have to do to make it in this business? What is the one thing that I can invest in, that I could buy, that I could use, that would help me make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time in this business?" And that is to learn the words. Learn the words. And having a tool like that is powerful. Yeah, I did send an email out to everybody, and I think Mary sent it out to Wilbraham too, the Wilbraham office also, about the 101 dialogues. Just go on to floydwickman.com, or I think even the title of the website is 101dialogues.com, and buy it. Invest in yourself. Benjamin Franklin said, and I put this on my email to you, I said, Benjamin Franklin said, if you take the coins from your purse and you invest them into your mind will put coins in your purse, right? And too many real estate agents are out there thinking, well, listen, you don't work for Carlson GMAC, you work with Carlson GMAC, you work for yourself. And here's another very important thing about top producers. Top producers invest money in themselves. They go to seminars. They get on a plane, they travel, they go, they get around other people that are top producers. It's amazing the energy that you can get just by going to one of these events. And they buy things when they go to these seminars. They invest in the audio tapes, the audio CDs, I should say, the DVDs, in the workbooks. And they practice and they drill and rehearse on a regular basis. Those who make time, see, coming to these Friday sessions are only the tip of the iceberg. Again, right? When you're going through the ocean and you see above the water, you just see the tip of the iceberg, right? But what you don't see is what is underneath that iceberg. What you don't see is the 3 to 4 hours every week that I spent preparing for these sessions, right? And sometimes when I say something, you say, "Oh wow, he's a natural." You didn't see the hours and hours of practice that I put that into use for, or the hours and hours that I spent driving in my car listening to Floyd's dialogues, right? Going to his seminars, learning, practice, drill, rehearse, practice, drill, rehearse. Because if you can just do that one thing, it was so simple. It was like an epiphany for me. I just was like, wow. You mean all I have to do is learn what to say and how to say it, and I'll make money in real estate? And too many people think to themselves, wow, that's too easy, so they don't do it. Or, geez, $200, that's kind of a lot of money. How much money are you spending now, and what are you getting from it? How much money are you losing by not having that information? You see what I'm saying, gang? Some people say, well, I can't afford it. It's $200, by the way, if you haven't figured that out. Some people say, I can't afford $200. Let me ask you a question. If you were driving your car, and you needed your car to get back and forth to work every day, and it broke, and you needed, let's say it worked just fine, it drove fine, but you couldn't stop the car. Let's say you needed brakes, and you got an estimate, and it cost $200 for brakes. Let me ask you a question. Would you somehow find or come up with the $200 to fix your car, or would you take the bus? Right? And if the answer is fix the car, then you can afford it, So, anyway, gang, did you get some good value out of today's session?
Yes.
All right. Give yourselves a round of applause for doing such a great job. I appreciate all of you for coming here. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate all of you. Have a great week.
Thank you.
And no, I don't get a commission from some of those things.
No, I'm getting it. I thought I looked great. I went online for it.
Is anybody going back to the Wilbraham office?